Hey everybody, First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Hopefully my audio works well. I was a little overmodulated yesterday. So let's start with what's happening right now. I'm going to try to keep my chat open here as well so I can see you guys saying everything in here. I can see all the YouTube, Periscope, Facebook. We're on multiple pages tonight, so I'll try to keep track of everybody there. So here's a look at the flood watch tonight. Entire area is currently under a flood watch tomorrow, really through midnight. Early Friday morning. This could likely be extended as well. I could see this being extended as we go into Friday morning. A quick recap of the flash flood threat tonight. You notice most of our areas in the low to medium threat, high threat back in Tennessee, but I'll forward this till tomorrow, and you can see most of our areas under that high risk for flash flooding, everything in red. And again, I'll bring this full screen just so you can see that a little bit better. From Taylorsville to Morganton, all the way down to Charlotte, that whole entire area is under that threat for flash flooding. And tonight, we've seen a ton of rain already heading our way. Let me show you the radar view here across the southeast. And I think this radar view will tell you everything you need to know. There is a lot of rain heading our way. This first big batch is the heavy rain tonight. Likely no severe weather there. There is some strong storms back in Tennessee and back in this area. But you can see this is going to come at us in waves. This stuff's coming up from the south. This stuff's coming from the southwest. And then the whole system is moving west. So there's going to be wave after wave of rain that moves through the area. And I'll show you that here as we take it full screen. Look at the waves of rain. And this one in particular down here is going to be our overnight rain. That right there, that's coming straight up. Back over here, there was a little spin, something we call a meso-low. It's essentially like a little area of low pressure that spins across central Tennessee that was actually producing some severe weather. Might actually be a tornado or two developing in that area as well. So that's an area we're going to have to watch as we go into the overnight hours. I'm turning on some of the watches and warnings. A lot of severe thunderstorm warnings, several flash flood warnings in Tennessee, a lot of flash flood warnings, and a couple tornado watches down there. Flooding by far is our biggest issue that we're going to run into as we go into tomorrow. And the reason we're going to see that flood threat is this big influx of tropical air. You may have heard me refer to this as an atmospheric river, and that's what it is. It's a river of air in the atmosphere that is pulling moisture from the deep tropics all the way up into the northeast. It shows up quite well on the water vapor loop. And if you see the trough that's digging in here, big trough of low pressure in the atmosphere, digging down over New Mexico into Old Mexico and tapping into that moisture, which is coming up here into the Carolinas. So this is the area that we're watching for the heavy rain. And because that's going to be over us for about a 24-hour period, the potential is we're going to see really heavy rain set up. So here's the hour-by-hour forecast broken down tomorrow, just to give you an idea of the temperature and the rainfall chances all the way into the afternoon. Those really high chances of rain in the afternoon hours. So really by far, some of the heaviest rain we're going to see is going to be in the mid to late afternoon hours when that rain starts to roll into the area. So let's get into some of the specifics about some of the threats we're going to see. The damaging wind threat, I'll show you that first. You can see it right there, 30% chance of damaging winds, which is 58 miles per hour or higher, everywhere along and southeast of I-85. That's really the area of greatest concern. But honestly, because of the strong wind energy in the atmosphere, I wouldn't be surprised to see damaging winds even outside of some of the thunderstorms, just because those strong winds will mix down near the surface up towards Greensboro and Raleigh. That's more of a 15% chance of some damaging winds. Now the tornado threat, a little bit different. We've got a 5% probability of damaging winds, I should say tornadoes, within 25 miles of any point within that area in orange. And that's across the Charlotte metro area, back down towards areas towards Rock Hill. And when we see that percentage, a lot of folks immediately think, wow, 5% doesn't seem like a whole lot. But you have to remember, 5% chance of a tornado, not 5% chance of rain. This is a big difference. The outcome of this is much more drastic than 5% chance of rain. So 5% chance of a tornado within 25 miles of any point on the map in that area. Those really strong winds will be moving up as we go into the afternoon hours. So let's start with the future radar, because this is going to tell you everything you need to know. We'll put this into motion hour by hour. Here it goes into the overnight hours. I'll stop this about 2, 3 in the morning. Heavy rain across the entire area. So tons of rain across the area. I'm pushing in from the south and west. That heavy rain is going to be moving across the area through the morning hours. There might be a brief lull across the Charlotte area, not that there's going to be a lull in the mountains. I mean, in here we might see a brief break, but look at all that heavy rain back towards the mountains and foothills. And then we go through time, watch this line move down, and then enter the Piedmont around noon. So the timing of this might be a little bit earlier than we had yesterday. So I think the potential is that this line is actually going to move through probably closer to a 12 to 2. And I'll go a little bit further out just to show you. We'll stop this about 2. Notice how it's still kind of sitting in the same area. This looks like it's got a bowing segment, maybe some spin there. But because of that slow movement and the intensity of that band, that's definitely going to cause flash flooding. This is 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock through the afternoon. Starts to push east, so areas from Salisbury to Concord to Monroe and Lancaster start to see the heavy rain. Then it pushes east, heading out towards Greensboro, Raleigh, back towards Albemarle and the Wadesboro area. You can kind of see that rain moving through there. And then I'll go out a little bit faster here, and we'll go through the evening hours. After 6 o'clock, it starts to push east, and we see the worst of the severe weather goes through, but notice the rain starts to fill back in. So the rain's going to be sticking around even after the severe threat kind of diminishes, and that rain could last well into Thursday night. And eventually early Friday morning, maybe 3, 4 in the morning. So that is a lot of rain that's going to be moving across our area. So for that reason, flash flooding is a huge concern of mine. Now, one of the parameters I look at, and I only show you this because it's something I look at, and I'm going to pull this full screen so you can see a little clearer. This is something we call rotational tracks, updraft helicity, basically how much rotation we have within the thunderstorm. So I'm going to show you this because not that I look for specifically where the rotation is. I look to see how much there is and the number of storms that have potential rotation. So through the morning hours, you don't see a whole lot. It's very low end rotation, nothing that jumps off the map to me. As we head towards the middle of the day, we see a couple cells that look a little bit more vigorous across Charlotte South. And you can see this pushing to the east. So I'm going to stop this right about 3 o'clock. And the first thing that pops off the map is this area down in here and then out towards here. Now these aren't really strong. The scale's at the top there. And I'll bring this back full screen. You see the scale, low, medium, high. That area down there towards Lancaster, Kershaw County, and Greensboro, Albemarle, those are areas we'll keep an eye on tomorrow. But every time I run this guidance, I see these areas shift a little bit. So I wouldn't read too much into the specific points. And then you can see going to the east. So that honestly, just looking at that doesn't look like widespread tornadoes. It looks like a couple spin-ups within the line. The bigger concern is going to be the damaging winds that are embedded in this line. And let me show you the wind speeds, because the one thing that really makes me think we're going to see strong winds regardless of severe weather is the fact that we have what's called a very strong low-level jet. And by low-level jet, it's essentially a jet stream that's down here close to the ground. It's about 5,000 feet off the ground. I'm going to zoom in here. You see all this area in purple. That's over 75 mile an hour winds at 5,000 feet. Now, obviously, we're not going to get 75 mile an hour winds down at the ground, and probably not, but any heavy rain or thunderstorms will mix some of those strong winds down to the surface. Even in heavy rain, you don't need a severe thunderstorm. You just get heavy rain, and that wind is going to come down to the surface, probably in the form of 55, 60 mile an hour winds. So with all the rain that's going to fall tomorrow, saturating the soils, you can imagine if you get a 50 or 60 mile an hour wind, we're going to see some trees and probably some power lines come down. So to me, this is probably why we're going to see that 30% chance of damaging winds versus a 2 or 5% chance of a tornado. So the combination of wind and saturated soil certainly could work over a lot of those trees. Let me show you the updated rainfall forecast. This has been bouncing around as well as we go into Friday. Pretty generally a 3 to 5, 6 inch amount. And again, this doesn't take into locally heavy amounts. And again, these specific amounts, we're not going to get 3.49. That's not going to happen. This is guidance. This is giving you a general feel for the spread and the amount of rain and the locations. And the fact that every location in our area has about 3 to 5 inches of rain, that's a pretty heavy rain event. And the runoff is going to be intense because it's not going to take much to cause flash flooding. I was looking at all the flash flood guidance for a lot of the counties around Charlotte West. Each county has a figure for how much rain you need to get in 6 hours to cause flooding. And most of them are only around 2.5 or 3 inches. So we expect to see that easily in 6 hours, maybe even shorter. So the fact that we've got 3, 4, in some cases close to 5 inches, that tells me we're going to see flash flooding, thus the reason you see the flash flood watch in effect for tomorrow. So that's kind of what I'm watching tonight. Not a lot of change. Someone asked me, not much has changed. The only thing I would say it's changed a little bit is I don't think the severe threat's going to linger as far into the evening as it looked yesterday. It looks like it might be coming in a little bit quicker. And it's just not me looking at model guidance. A lot of folks know who follow me. Guidance is guidance. Models aren't forecasts. So I don't read too much into the models. I use them as guidance to make a forecast. The one thing that makes me think it's going to come in a little quicker is just not the guidance. It's actually looking at the radar tonight, because the main line is in central Tennessee already. So the fact that that's already there, that's going to get here probably in the middle of the afternoon tomorrow, maybe even earlier. So the fact that in real time I'm seeing that these storms getting closer to us than was even indicated yesterday is a good sign that we're going to see those severe storms get in here a little bit quicker. And I'll show you the radar full screen just so everybody can see it. You can clearly see that big batch of rain moving in from the west. So that's about it for now. I'm obviously tonight at 11, I will update these, but the one thing I'll tell you tomorrow, and this is me trying to keep you safe tomorrow, make sure you have your phone fully charged tonight. Plug your phone in, charge it up completely, grab our app, the First Warn Weather app and the WCNC News app. The reason I want you to get both is the weather app is a little bit better for the warnings. It's a little more GPS based, but we can do it with the news app. The nice thing about the news app, just like you're watching this now, we'll send out a push notification if we start going wall-to-wall coverage, and we probably will at some point tomorrow do cut-ins and do coverage like this. You'll get a push notification so you can watch on the go or wherever you're at. The other thing to remember is the timing tomorrow. A little concerning for me that the severe weather is going to be moving in right around when dismissal for a lot of schools are going on. Again, just be very careful. The last place you want to be is outside, so make sure the kids aren't spending more than a couple minutes at a time outside. Make sure they're getting in and out of the bus and inside, because we want them in shelter. We don't want them outside in this weather tomorrow. The other big thing, and I could preach this a million times and not say it enough, please do not drive into standing water. Turn around, don't drown. We say that a lot. There's a great song in Charlotte, turn around, don't drown. Your car's not a boat, but somebody's going to drive into water tomorrow. I don't care if you have a tank, if you've got a big SUV. It doesn't take much water to cause problems to your vehicle, and half the time you don't even know if the road is there. It could be completely washed out. So please don't put others in danger by driving into that water. Just not worth it. It's not worth ruining your car at the very least, and it's not worth you possibly getting injured or getting someone else injured by going in there. So please be safe tomorrow. Stay weather aware. The good news is this stuff is out of here by Friday. Turns colder. Get ready. We're not going straight to spring. It's going to be a cold Friday and Saturday. In fact, there's going to be some pretty decent snow in the mountains. So if you want to go skiing this weekend, I'm going to tell you, behind this system, some pretty cold air and snow moving into the North Carolina mountains. So I'll see you tonight at 11. Of course, you can check me out online as well. WX Brad, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, just about anywhere you can find social media. I will be there. And of course, we'll have coverage right here in WCNC Charlotte. Have a great night, everybody.